What's happening, everybody? Let me see where my partner in crime is tonight. Hope everybody's doing well on this Monday. And what a Monday it has been. Um, yeah. Let him know that I'm here. I don't know where Doug is, but it's okay. I'm starting without him, and so it goes. So hope everybody's doing well. It is Monday. It is damn near getting on through into the month. It's the 23rd already here. We didn't have a lot planned for tonight. Thought we'd just talk about what's going on in the soft washing and pressure washing world. I know we had a little bit of cool weather there, but Florida wound up warming up, and we're seeing people getting busy, seeing people just plugging around and hanging in there. Residential, I'm finding is slowish. Unfortunately, um, the residential. Good evening, servant. Good evening, Rocket City. We're seeing residential happening, but we're not seeing a ton of residential happening. Now, my guys that specialize in commercial, they're still plugging away. They really are. But I always, Mr. Jacob, hey, I am so sorry I did not respond back to your message earlier. It's been a Monday. I apologize. Just chasing down orders and problems and crap like that, and then got a surprise shipment in, and we're going to talk about that, Barry. But I always like in January and February to cobia season out here in the Gulf of Mexico. Up here in the northern Gulf, you could go and take a an eel with a bucktail jig and have the perfect cobia bait, pitch every piling from Homosassa over to Pensacola, and you're probably not going to catch a cobia with any regularity. Yeah, you may catch a big old rogue laying on a wreck somewhere, some guy that can tolerate the colder weather, but the cobia just aren't here right now. It's not cobia season. It's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of effort. They're just not around. In a lot of ways, the people that are residential house washing is kind of the same thing. There's just not a lot of them out there. Now, the ones that are out there are probably fairly serious. I mean, they're not most likely tire kicking, because January, February is not necessarily the typical time to get your house washed. Now, keep in mind, because this is regional, our pressure washing is always extremely regional. There's guys down Miami area that are extremely busy right now because the snowbirds are in. They've left Jersey. They've left New York. They're getting their condos clean. So I'm kind of talking about, Ocala northward, and then probably where the ground is covered in snow and you guys are actually shut down for 3 months. Definitely not a lot of stuff going on there. But now I'm noticing my commercial guys are still doing fairly well. And, with nice sized projects going on as well too. They may not be crazy busy, but I'm seeing plenty of 5-figure projects out there plugging along, and so that's good news. That's the fantastic news on here. One of the things though, and Barry brought it up. I was able to talk to Barry for a little while tonight or today when he made an order. But one of the things that I get to experience a lot here at Power Wash Store is talking to contractors, and you would be amazed at how many people come into this store every week. And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, you may have seen this again, but they've literally gotten the Simpson pressure washer. And I don't mean that by any insult whatsoever to Simpson. I don't mean that they're bad, but they have a very much a residential type machine with a AAA pump that's the size of, maybe two fists together. And they're literally saying, hey, I heard you know about pressure washing. How am I going to make the $500 an hour that I keep seeing on YouTube? And if you go onto YouTube and you say, can I make $500 an hour pressure washing? All these videos will pop up. And whenever you sit there and again, if you're one of the guys who's out there looking at this, just I want you to just understand the basic mathematics of that. And really, hey, Doug, what's happening?
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Oh, no problem. I'm just sitting here going over the pressurenomics, again, that we did. But, so if you're at $500 an hour on there and we're going to work, and let's face it, we got travel time between jobs. We got to get to places. I want to say, let's work 5 hours a day. So times 5, right? It's $2,500 a day. Well, I need a day for scheduling. I need a day to put my yard signs out. So times 4, we're going to work 4 hours a day on there, right? It's $10,000 a week. Well, if I'm rolling in $10,000 a week, I'm probably not going to work 52. I'm probably going to take a vacation here. So I'm only going to work 50 weeks a year. It's $500,000.
And
whenever I talk to,
I don't know where we're at in this conversation, but I want that job. Whatever.
I know. I mean, I do too. I mean, and honestly, if I talk to these guys and we literally do it on the calculator and their mouth kind of drops open and it's like, oh, yeah, I guess not. I mean, most of them realize that they're probably not going to be out making the $500,000 a year, which is what $500 an hour consistently equates to.
Well, even if you break that down and you said it's $250 an hour, right? Then if you break that down that way, then it's still it's $250,000 a year, and even that you're not looking at the expenses and everything else that goes with it.
Mm-hmm. And
if you're even doing that.
Yeah, and they're advertising that it's working alone too. And I know some amazing young men and women in this field, and I know some guys that have done everything right, and they're in their third, fourth year of business, and they're knocking their head up at $250,000 or $200,000 to $250,000 out there, and they're doing it right. But it's taken them a while, and it's a slow growth. And I mean, you understand the guys that come out of the gate and start doing $200,000 a year, they're the exception and not the rule. Mm-hmm. And it does not mean that you cannot do it, but it is the exception and it is not the rule.
And it does take work, and it takes having the right employees in place. You can do it with one person and one truck. Hitting 250,000 though, I think would be extremely difficult for one guy and one truck. I think that would be extremely difficult.
I really do.
One truck, two guys, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you actually pretty much
you should be averaging about, yeah.
Within a couple of years, you need to be at 200 a truck with two guys. You need to be.
Yeah, anywhere between 200 and 300 a truck, I think is about the right dollar amount that you're going to hit per truck.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're paying the typical $3, $4 a gallon for bleach that we're seeing right now out there.
I'll tell you, yeah. I don't know what the current pricing is for doing jobs, but I know everything has gone up, and I know that wages especially, wages especially, you've really got to up your wage scale now from what I'm seeing out there.
Yeah.
To get somebody to even work for you, and that is going to affect all those numbers that you're discussing as well.
No, it really is. And it winds up, the number that it really winds up affecting is that bottom line is what you wind up keeping. And, if you've not gone up on your prices, you're kind of insane because I guarantee you right now in January of 2023, it's costing you more to do business than it did
Yep.
in January of 2021. We didn't see that massive bleach increase. I mean, I hadn't opened PWS Tallahassee at that point, and I was looking at a wholesale bleach price of I think $1.85. And I remember talking to this guy, and I said, well, why in the hell would I do that? Because Leslie still has it here in Tallahassee for $1.50. It seems like I would just really be hurting myself, because
Well, I heard around here that bleach prices had gone up like within a 2 week span, they had gone up 53%. And I was just like, wow. I mean, in that short time, and now mind you, that's been probably a little over a year ago. So
Right.
I don't know what they would be at now. I would imagine that they're probably up to, 80 to 90, maybe even 100% now.
Well, that my ours are up, at least at Leslie's, they're up 100% because they're now at $3 a gallon, for wholesale bleach, and other places in town are reporting 325, 350, which is, Steve, we're talking 200 profit. I'm sorry, 200 sales per truck. Yeah. So I got
sales and profit are
PWS
completely
425.
different.
I don't know which PWS is just showing his Facebook user. Steve's up yonder.
Well, Steve is in Mississippi, and then
I don't know.
I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, whichever one that is.
I would imagine that maybe that's Eric and Lisa.
Maybe, I just don't know. Whoever it is, just put it in the comments. But yeah, so we're actually readdressing the thought of of carrying wholesale bleach now here, because it looks like I won't be undersold as much. But one of my problems with both Universal and Allied, they said, I found a smaller distributor that can take care of me, and they were saying what was it? The Allied and Universal saying, look, we'd love to service you, but literally we don't have the drivers. We do not have the drivers to our routes are full in your area. And yeah.
No way to add to it.
That's awesome, Steve. That is very nice. And that's a great market. I know you've got a great specialty, and that's beautiful.
Which means you got to be making what, 20,000 a year now?
Yeah, probably so.
No, that's the one thing is you scale up, is that your costs and everything else also increase. We talk about this all the time, but as a one truck operation, especially, one employee, your margins a lot of times can be 75%.
Yeah.
Where up there at that 2 million range, I'm assuming that it's going to be under the 25%. Could be a little more, a little bit less, but somewhere in that neighborhood. Typically,
at 2 million, you're not in that death zone anymore.
Once you get above that million mark, $1.5 million, that's when
I'd say that $1.5 million gets you out of the death zone. To me, it was always that 800,000 to about $1.4 million. So every time I did the numbers, that's where the strangulation zone was. It didn't make a lot of sense to keep adding trucks past 4 trucks, when we were at $1 million, because it was like, to really realize any profit, we'd have to get up to 6 trucks. Because basically the profit from the 5th truck that we would have had to add was all sucked up, because now I've got to hire somebody else to help me with the back end of the shop that I always took care of. I took care of the estimating, the back end, and the big, and running the big projects. I couldn't do that. It would be just, okay, I've got to have, somebody else in there. So what does that person look like? I don't know, 45 to 65,000 a year or so on there, which,
And now that's probably gone up.
that, and then 2 technicians and the expenses of the truck. And if I'm looking at a truck bringing back 30% and the truck's doing $250,000, what's 30% of that? $70,000 on there, $80,000, and I'm paying somebody, it's costing me $65,000 for that guy after, taxes and my share of that. There ain't a whole lot going over. So then the next truck I put on might be really, really profitable. And then, I got to sit there and look at my market. Okay, we already got a massive chunk of our market. And
How much more can you take?
how much more? Where else do we have to go to increase the market share? But then again, every market's a little bit different. I mean, Steve's an amazing market down there, West Palm Beach, and he's doing McMansions left and right. And I know he has a real nice paver ceiling.
I think he's really getting into the paver ceiling and all. Yeah.
Yep. Joseph saying he's 324 gallon at 320 gallon tote. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
That's a boat.
And Joseph is here in Louisiana.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, if my math, that's about $1,000 a tote. Yeah. Woo. IRS made $1.
That means that person's doing it right.
Yeah.
Whoever Facebook user is right there, that person's doing it right. If the IRS is showing he's only made $1 for the year.
IRS, it's interesting. And hold on. And before we go here, let me say this.
Yeah.
If you take tax advice from us, you're an idiot.
Because we're not giving tax advice.
Yeah. We're not giving tax advice. We're not licensed to give tax advice. Anything that we talk about, is probably, it's one of my Tallahassee boys.
Our thoughts and our opinions.
Totally our thoughts, our opinions, things that we may or may not have done back in our past businesses to help or hurt our potential things. So I would not do that. The IRS does not say you have to start a business
and be profitable.
Make a profit. Yeah. I mean, you're in fact, you've got to start a business with the intention of making a profit. So you really should lose money all you can. And there's there
becomes that tipping point, where you can spend to grow.
Right.
And then once you get to, so you're actually, to me, and you run kind of on the poor side. And then once you hit that tipping point, boom, it just goes,
I mean, that's shocking. What Bobby's saying there is 18 months at $1.70 ish currently. That's huge. That's really expensive for Central Florida because I think they have chlorine dispensaries on every corner right next to the marijuana dispensaries.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Orlando uses a lot of bleach. Everybody has a pool. I mean, it's a pretty big, bleachy area down there. So,
I tried to pull a prank I'm sorry, I don't remember your office manager's name, and she's running the place really. But I tried to pull a prank on her when I was down there at Bobby's place. That's probably been close to 2 years, and it was working kind of, but she's top notch. She was picking up, and because I was like, you guys killed my stuff and you this and that. And I walked in the office and all that. And she handled it like a champ, man.
Nice.
And she was just like, okay. And what's your name and what was the property address and, all that kind of stuff. And she was good.
So back then it was someone else. Jay is now, he remembers that. So I want to go back to a comment from Steve. And it's not easy to sell a business that doesn't earn money. And it's interesting. However, a good business broker or a good buyer of the business will understand what the owner add backs are. And we had on our profit and loss statement, we actually had, and I want to say that our bottom line was impacted by about 80,000 or so on owner add backs that we took in. Once we took that profit and loss, and now we went in there with a highlighter, and we went in with okay, what's
discretionary
business
spending kind of thing.
expense that's also could be construed as a personal expense and vice versa, or what are things that we're keeping as an owner benefit out of our company here that that's impacting the bottom line of the business. And you want to be
things are a one-time expense kind of thing.
Well, you want to be careful here. I mean, but like so. But a good business broker, and what Joseph's saying, better for the IRS, hinders your business valuation, and
not necessarily true.
But yeah, because I mean, really, a good business broker or a good banker will understand that. I mean, there are some things like, for example, I had a gun range membership, and then also we had about a 3,500 acre hunting lease that was, for the use of that I would take my employees to. They were able to use the gun range. That was, a lot of money a year.
And that's a legitimate business.
Yes. The hunting lease was several $1,000s a year. The my CPA called me up, at the end of one particular year, and he says, "You're about to spend $35,000." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you can either spend it on something that you could use on the business, or you could write a check to the IRS." And I was like, Can I use a tractor in the business? And he said, "Absolutely. Pallet loading and moving equipment around. I mean, are you going to have forklifts on it?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I think we found, a really good business piece of equipment." And I said, "I don't have room at my shop to store this tractor." He said, "It's okay. You can store it at your house. It's fine. You can store it at your house, but it'll be okay as long as, spends a little bit of time up there." So things like this we're talking about. How much gas are you putting in there in your vehicle? Are you renting your vehicle back from yourself? Are you renting advertising space on your vehicle?
And on that note, Ray, real quick, I'm working on, I don't know if it's going to bear fruit, but I believe that it is, an attorney and a business broker, or actually, I think he's a real estate broker, a guy that really knows his stuff on renting back. So buying and leasing the buildings back from yourself. It goes along the same lines as what Ray's talking about. So hopefully we're going to have them on here in the next couple of weeks.
Stephen, that was part of that $80,000. I mean, literally fishing stuff. Our marina fees, hell, our boat one year was a complete and total write-off on there because we went and had the whole thing wrapped. I mean, it absolutely was a huge write-off on there. Wrote the whole damn cost of the boat off because the CPA Mark said, "Well, you can make it an advertising vehicle." And then we actually did a couple of docks off the boat as well too. So threw the pressure washer on there and went down the St. Marks River and washed a couple of docks on there. So,
and you got to watch, because some things like that can be this where your CPA is really good for you, where you can write them all off in 1 year, and other ones you've got to break them down per year.
Your depreciation that you're getting. If you're not availing yourself of the services of a good professional CPA, I promise you, and if you don't have your own training, if you're not like Dan Plata or Sean Day or one of those guys, if you're not availing yourself of the services of a CPA, I promise you, you were
it's costing you a lot more.
It is. Yeah.
So I've virtually always had somebody doing books for me. But when I started Cajun Softwash, I didn't. And then I think year 2, I got my CPA back, and she's like, you really need to switch to an S corp, an LLC filing as an S corp. I mean, if you had done that, I think I was writing a check to the IRS for $30,000, And she goes, you could be writing a check for 15 grand. You would have saved $15,000. And that's not mentioning the money I already paid them. Right. So I had to spend an extra 15 grand by filing not being done correctly. So, I mean, she paid for herself right then and there.
So, a question: can you write off strippers as entertainment? No, but you can write it off as a business expense, especially like the Deco Stripacast, Deco Stripacast in the blue bucket, or just say stripper. Do a line item on there, stripper, and we were stripping off these pavers. That's what that invoice is for.
Yeah. Employee incentives.
And it doesn't have to be a full wrap. I also found out as well on the boat. So you can do a partial wrap.
Man, a good CPA, Stephen, would probably load you up on what you can do and what you can't do. And
I'm guessing that Mr. Sabella has a really good CPA. Yeah.
Yep.
That ain't no dummy we're talking to.
Yep.
Austin, what's happening, man? Hope you are doing.
Did it do that to us before, Ray? Where I'm seeing this time where it's showing us that like there's a Facebook next to Austin Smith, and then there's
I'm showing Austin Smith's name.
Yeah,
on mine.
Right, I am too.
Okay.
But I'm saying before, I don't remember the little F being there. I remember the YouTube ones did, but
yeah, because the F is there all the time, but but then the YouTube will have the little thing. Oh, look at there, we got Brenda and Chris. Look at that.
There you go.
See, and honestly, Stephen, amazing write-off right there. About to have a rate, absolutely, and get up there and do the dirt tracks up in Albany, up in. God, do you know how many plant managers go to that? How many, big industrial stuff is out there? And to see a waterworks, if it's something you enjoy, go out there and buy a freaking, because, they have, you might have even been telling me, they have a Crown Vic class. Go out and buy a used $3,000 Crown Vic from govdeals.com. And put that thing up there and wrap that thing with waterworks. I mean, and actually only wrap maybe the roof because that's the only part that's not going to get destroyed. But seriously, if you have a passion, turn your passion into a write-off for your business, guys.
And Stephen, just so you know, if you need another driver, I mean, I'd force myself to come out of retirement for that.
And Joseph made a point here, and you guys, unless you're living under a rock, y'all realize that part of that last stimulus package, the omnibus package or whatever it was they passed, what was it, 60 or 80,000 new IRS agents, and now the Republicans are trying to block the funding on that. But they've realized here's the effed up part of our country. They've realized that we've got to figure out a way to capitalize more on the middle class and cannibalize them to pay for the financial shit show that we've gotten ourselves into.
But Ray, the Democrats said that's not what that's for.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
We all know they're going to come after us.
Last week's guest, and everybody has probably stocked up on aspirin now after seeing Chris last week.
I got to tell you, Chris and I, hey, Chris, before I get into it, Chris, can I share what we talked about after the show on here? Because I think that's really important, but I don't want to do it without.
I was shocked about that one.
Yeah. I was, what happened on the operating table and what you were waiting for. I want to know. Can I share that? That's what I want to know. Anyhow, and Steven says I'm going to be his first call. Right on.
Nice.
I used to race. I'd love to do it again. All right, so I think that's Chris saying absolutely. I got to tell the story.
All right, you do that. I heard it, so I'm going to get some ice real quick. I'll be right back.
So Chris was telling me, and I think it was just one of them things where it didn't come out during the show, but For those of you that don't know, Chris Coonsey is 36 years old now, just had a birthday, and he suffered what's called a widowmaker heart attack. So, like maximum people that live out of that is like 25% if you're already at the hospital, right? So they shave his wrist and they shave his groin to get ready for the surgery. And he's in the room. He's got everything's ready to go. They got all the stuff out and they got all the people around. They're all wearing the gowns and the masks and the hats and the gloves and all this kind of stuff. And they're waiting. But what are they waiting for? What is it that they could possibly be waiting for? Right. So this is, again, a heart attack that kills virtually, I mean, at least 75% of the people that get this type of heart attack die from it. He's sitting on the operating table waiting for a negative COVID test. And I asked him, I said, what happened? What would happen if you came back positive? He said, I don't know. I even asked them and they said, hey, we're just following procedures. So what? First of all, they're already all exposed. If he had COVID, they're already all exposed. They all got gloves on. They all got masks on. They all got. I mean, man, that was something else. That one absolutely just
that's mind-boggling right there. That's literally mind-boggling. So you're all in a small room together. You have been for quite a while.
I think he said they waited like 3 minutes, sitting there with him on the operating table, just waiting for that test to come back.
And what Jim's saying right there, absolutely. Again, not offering financial advice. Don't take it from us. But, do you game? Do you, what's your hobby and stuff? I mean, buy a nice freaking computer and check your emails from it. Come on, guys. I mean, you got to get creative about that. It's not what you make, it's what you keep.
I think in today's day and age, business wise, right? If I were starting a business all over from scratch and I didn't have anything, what are some of the things that I would even go out and purchase for my business? I would get a drone pilot's license. I would purchase a drone. That would be a good business expense that I can also have fun with at the same time, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to make sure that everything is somehow related to business. But even the wraps, we talk about wraps all the time, and if you should get a wrap because it increases your business and it's a good write-off. There you go.
What are you saying about the drone?
There we go. Yeah. And there are so many different, I don't want to use the word toys out there that you can purchase nowadays.
Tools, not toys.
Tools. Exactly. Did I say toys? No, I said, you heard it wrong. You're getting old. So there are so many different tools out there that you can now buy for your business. I mean, if you don't have a good camera setup and you can't do good videos and all that kind of thing, you should, because they're a good part of business, before and after pictures, and so get yourself some good quality stuff. Again, talk with your CPA, make sure you can get things that's actually a good question, Stephen.
Well, it is. Hold on, and that's a Mavic Pro. And actually, one of our students from Spray Wash Academy, he was because I had bought a drone years ago, back before they had auto stabilization and stuff, and literally I put it in a tree right after I got it out of the tree. Tanya's like, "Ooh, I want to fly it." And she went and put it in the same freaking tree. Swore off drones for there. And I had we had a student in Tallahassee, and he's like, "Oh man, you got to try a drone. This would be great for looking at roofs." And I'll tell you what, that same day he left after he showed me, he's like, "Yeah, this is the one you ought to get." We went into eBay and I bought it, right then. And it was absolutely paid for by the business, the first and the second one, because I may have killed the first one. But these are some of the things. And I know a couple of washers that literally when they go out to a property to meet the homeowner, think about this. They will put their drone up and fly over the roof, over the property, and look at it. And the homeowner will, oh my gosh, what are you doing? He's like, well, this is a way that I can really get a good assessment of your roof without having to actually access your roof. I mean,
that's
his
I hadn't thought about
close
that way.
ratio is amazing on,
yeah.
on roof jobs like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had not thought about it that way.
No, absolutely. I mean, now you're going the extra mile. It's part of that. Hey, oh, you're going to bid on Google. Oh, go ahead and bid your Google crap. You know, I mean, do your Google Maps. We'll figure out
you could actually get close in and look at the way the vent pipes and the rubber around them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're, how many times do you go to a job site and those are so deteriorated that stuff is going to get down inside, right? I mean, that's something that you could then show them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Chris is so yeah. I mean, yes, you could consider it towards security, 100%. I mean, if you take people hunting, if you take customers hunting, you might be able to write off part of your weapons and at least your ammunition or
and ammo. Yeah,
like I said, if you join Talon and wanted to take Willie out, you know, shooting one day, and let's say that you mistakenly bought some 300 blackout instead of 9mm when y'all were shooting. I mean, what are you going to do? Return it? I mean, it's kind of weird to do that. So you just go ahead and throw it in the gun case. I mean, it's so weird. And, you know, and Chris just brought up a great point. Get the drone insurance, show customers the roof and their gutters are dirty and show them they need to be clean. People love it, Chris. Amazing.
Yeah. That would be an awesome sales tool. Absolutely.
Look inside gutters, see how full they are. I never even thought of, that's, hell,
you know, that's a segment all by itself. We should do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I've always said that the way that somebody is going to buy one of these cleaning drones and make a boatload of money. MPH says got one. So the way that somebody is going to make a boatload of money with a drone is to buy one and say that, hey, here's my drone.
It's for lease.
For $2,000 a day plus expenses. Expenses are going to be lodging and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to show up to your property. Here's what you're going to have. You will have this type of pumping system. You will have your crews there to handle all ground control, all handle the pumping system, everything. I will be there to simply fly the drone and apply the solution through the pumping system that I'm requiring. It might be a booster pump, it might be an air system, something, but whatever it is that I require, you know,
I think that's going to get harder nowadays because there are several guys now that own drones, and like Cajun Softwash will buy a drone, I believe, in 2023. And I think more people are, and they are getting to where they are more affordable. Right. When I first started looking at drones, they were, $30,000, $40,000 for the drone, and they couldn't give me, I mean, they would say, oh yeah, well, we'll guarantee all the parts for a year. And when I sat down and I was breaking it down to them, okay, look, so you're going to guarantee against bleach corrosion. Well, no, not that. And, everything I said, and they realized, yeah, okay, maybe not. And you were there for that conversation.
Yeah.
And, but now things have changed a little bit. And, I mean, you can get them for, I think, 15 to 30,000.
Yeah. So, but there's two different manufacturers out there. There's Apelix and Lucid. Now, Lucid is a soft wash only drone. That's the one that's only soft wash. Apelix will actually handle 3,000 psi.
Right.
Apelix, I believe, is still up there around 80,000 or so.
Oh, I thought when we saw them at the last show, they were 50, 60,000 for the ones that could do the pressure wash.
Maybe they've come down 20,000 possibly.
Well, but wait a minute, they've probably now gone back up in price. Yeah. So there's that.
But that's where somebody could actually make some money on there, because I mean, and there's still there's a ton of places. Don't get me wrong. I look at every place, every condo on the beach, from Pensacola all the way down to, you know, Pensacola, Panama City.
You got to remember those things have height limits.
They
Though.
do. They do. And you might even have to like put a pumping station on a 100-foot lift as well too, because you do have a height, but part of that's part of the pumping. But so
well, there's an FHA regulation. So
yeah, there is that too.
There is that. I believe it's like 10 stories max that they're going to be able to do with a drone.
But then the question is also that think about how many places are on the beach where the designers are just horrible, Satan worshiping, awful, bad people. That they did not design it to where you could ever put a lift behind the back side of those properties on the beaches. I mean, it's literally in soft sand. You cannot access, or they're right on the dunes and you're not allowed to touch a dune or drive anything on there, or there's a freaking pool deck behind it and you can't put a 45,000-pound lift on the back of a pool deck. So no matter how much
So this is actually a good comment here too, because this is again something I hadn't even thought about. But if you're going to do 5 rounds, even without 5 rounds, not having any logos or anything on your drone is probably a good idea, because there's still a lot of people that get really pissed off about seeing a drone. Period. Right. So. I could see that being an extremely negative thing, and especially if people are like taking pictures of the drone and then they're tagging. Yeah, that could be one of them very negative things. So yeah.
Why in the hell is this MTH Power Wash flying around in my house?
Yeah, spying on.
He was looking at my wife sunbathing out there in the backyard.
So they have and Steven's right. They actually have the little remote control helicopters that are the same thing as the drones for the most part. And, as he says that, I would almost lean towards the helicopter instead of the drone, because nowadays everybody's getting a drone. So what if you're just one of those few that actually had the little helicopter instead?
Well, and the other thing too, though, you could actually buy a real helicopter. Have you ever seen the ones where the helicopter is doing the pressure washing on the power line insulators?
I haven't. No, I've seen something like that, but I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
It's amazing. I mean, where this helicopter goes and they're doing pressure washing of the high power lines, and they're blasting algae growth off the insulators on there. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I mean, the guy's got a long lance and he's blasting literally, but I mean, nerves of steel, because they're up against power lines, and it's cool as crap,
I've watched a lot of those things, and I always thought that would be a neat job. Really, you got to take that wand, and all that power comes across the wand. That would just be so.
I'm looking for something. JoJo just mentioned the Wi-Fi inspection camera. I've got one of those somewhere back in here, and yeah, he's right. You put a camera up on the top of a pole, transmit it to your phone. You can actually do something very similar to that with a what do you call it? They got really popular a few years ago. Hero, the GoPro.
GoPro, yeah,
GoPro. And yeah, the customer goes, "Wow, hey, here's what we're gonna look. We're gonna check out your gutters. We're gonna check out your roof on there. Stick it on a water-fed pole." And it's like, holy crap! I mean, you show up to somebody's house like this, and you're doing things like this, and now they're like, kind of legit. Yeah, this is he's got the looking at Bobby Walker. I think Bobby's already left us. He hadn't even been back with a snarky comment. So
there you go.
No, yeah, exactly. Steven's on the real helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh, Rich heard about airplane stuff and he had to stop in. Rich, I saw that Beach Twin that we were looking at I got a notification, and think it was like 8,700 was the high bid on that. I don't know. I guarantee you the RC helicopters that I had were harder to fly.
Well, the drones nowadays, especially, they've got all these funny things that keep them from crashing into stuff, and I think they've really changed the game of being able to fly nowadays.
They do. I mean, I remember some old remote helicopters I had, and I wound up selling them on eBay. That it was cool. I mean, they were really, really cool. I mean, they were expensive too. Whenever they were $400 or $500 a piece whenever I bought them. Mm-hmm. And apparently there became a collector's market for it, and I wound up selling them for more than I bought them for. But yeah, there was never any auto stability. And then this is 10 years ago too. Mm-hmm. There wasn't any kind of auto stability in that. I can take this drone right here. I mean, whenever I let go of the control,
it'll just hover.
I mean, it's just hanging right there. I mean, my phone's hooked to it, and it's just there. And I know there's a lot of really, really big drone guys. DJI is just trash. The Mavics. I tell you what, it works for me. The camera works great. I mean, it makes beautiful videos for what I do. For what I did, and I mean, it just worked, especially just now this is different from obviously a washing drone, but the washing drones that's a so I was asking, I'm assuming it would have to be either, well, no, it wouldn't be a government job.
What's that?
Washing the power lines. The government doesn't own power lines.
Right.
Power lines,
no, that's private industry.
Private industry. Government doesn't own power lines. That would be that. Yeah. And
there's probably some government subsidies in there, but that's not a government job.
I did not chop my hair off. It fell out all by its own. Come on now.
That reminds me, I just got a renew notice for advertise on RaymondBurksBaldSpot.com. I got to renew that.
That one back there?
Yeah.
I shit you not. I was looking at my Ring camera. I was going through, for whatever reason, I was looking at my Ring cameras, old stuff this weekend, and I was like, who the hell's that bald guy walking up to my... Oh God, that's me. I mean, that was my horrible bald self out there, because I was like full zoomed in on the bald spot.
Mm-hmm.
The job of the hut body didn't give it away, but 8,000 on batteries, yeah, and so
and you have to have a whole bunch of batteries if you want, because they only last like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but they say that there's a fast charger too, which I don't dispute what they say on there. But Burke, there's another one, Apelix has a tethered drone. Mm-hmm. And Apelix is also the one that will allow you to pressure wash, not just soft wash.
Yeah, and
yeah, a yard sign would absolutely win that job. Yeah, we do. We wash power lines. $99.
Could you
got the DJ off my brother in a lawsuit, and brother-in-law with a suitcase of accessory. It'll pay for itself. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, you read that the same way I did the first time.
Yeah,
it was a lawsuit. Yeah,
in a lawsuit. Yeah, yeah. Mike. I remember you had a DJI up there at the power wash store, I believe.
I bought a DJI. I spent like $1,000 on it and then never used it, not even once.
Michael, be safe out there, buddy.
Bald is beautiful.
Burke is saying that Lucid can PW as well. I guess. I mean, I was just last week looking at the websites comparing it. We had some.
And he's saying that one's $80,000 is, too.
I was a little at a conference, and we were comparing them. Don't think that I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it's changed, but from what I saw, um, I do believe the Apelix can handle a little more pressure than the Lucid. Maybe not, though. We'll see. I'm not an expert on it. Steven's going to buy a UFO. Yeah, Casey was one. I didn't want to mention his name. He's one of the couple of guys that he kills it with his drone. Absolutely.
So if you don't mind, Casey, pop up a few things that we're not thinking about that you use the drone for in your business. There's a lot of stuff that we're not thinking about. I'm positive.
And Casey, some people have already said, I don't know how long you've been watching, but they check the gutters, upsell gutter cleaning jobs and things like that with the drone as well. So we hadn't even thought about, stuff like that.
Watch the FAA has in the pipeline between remote ID, flying over people, flying out of the line of sight. That's going to be a lot of new regulations imposed in unmanned drones. Yeah, I heard that as well. Like, I don't know what all is going to come down, but I heard something about, crossing over property lines could end up being a problem. So if you fly over somebody's property or you're videoing, somebody's backyard, it could be a problem with some of the new regulations that are likely going to come out.
Yeah, I can see that. I could absolutely see that. But I'm curious about the aerial though, because like riparian rights are one thing. Riparian being the water rights behind your house, but aerial rights, typically speaking, there's not aerial or arboreal rights on a lot of properties, but that's also the FAA can be another government overreaching entity. Let me not say that to.
But did you see Jim's comment? I'm going to click on it real quick because this is valid. Okay, how will they deliver my pizza and beer? So this is where I kind of wonder what's going to happen, right? Because Domino's has talked about drones for delivering pizza, but who else? Who is a big player that has talked about using drones?
Amazon,
exactly.
100%.
So if Amazon is going to deliver packages with drones, what are they going to do? Carve something out to say, oh, but Doug Gore can't do it, but Elon Musk can, kind of a thing. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I actually heard a really, really, really funny story about fog sanitizing and stadiums this year with a stadium that's, let's say within, I'm going to limit this to 4 stadiums that's within 6 hours of me, that somebody had brought it in there, and it was such a cluster as far as hoses getting hung on the seats and stuff that the people that were looking at one of the stadiums were horribly unimpressed and hired a company to come in and manually, because the drone had so many problems with the hoses getting hung on things. So and so Joe makes an amazing point right here. So this guy right here, so you're allowed to use business write-offs for,
and taking customers fishing would be a good write-off.
But you're allowed to use things like this for incidental personal use. So if I flew this little guy over some, I don't know, pool decks every now and then, got my pictures made, et cetera, but then at the same time, I wanted to use this out there on the boat and launch it off the polling tower here and there and go look for redfish. Guess what? I can do that,
Mm-hmm.
So
there's a lot of stuff you can do.
It becomes a write-off, guys. This is, again, it's not necessarily what you make, it's what you wind up keeping. And you're allowed to wash your own property with your pressure washer. You're allowed to to use your drone that you're doing property inspections with out there on for your private stuff. So again,
So Rich is saying airspace directly over the home does not belong to the homeowner. It is strictly governed by the FAA. I can fly 50 feet over someone's home and nothing can be said. And then if you go down to what Steven said, and this is where I think it's going, it's probably more of an invasion of privacy issue. And I think that's where those rules and regulations are going to come from, more from that side of it and why you can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Already using drones to deliver meds and essentials to remote locations in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
I love how our talks develop sometimes. I mean, this is just, I had no plan on, I was looking down there at the bottom. You and I mentioned something about a drone, and I'm like, oh, wait, my drone is right here at my feet. It had no plan on doing that whatsoever. And Rich has a very, very good point here. Get your Part 107 commercial drone license if you're using it for work.
Yep, absolutely. Something
else I'd like to point out here, and Rich, maybe you can answer this question. And so Jim Bob has a question right here. What if you're using it commercially? Yes, if you're using it commercially, you need the Part 107 commercial drone license. Now, in full disclosure, 3 years ago, I failed my 107, and I failed it with like a 67%. I needed a 70. And there was a lot of general aviation, because they had just passed that law where it said you've got to have a commercial drone license if you're going to use it for work. And it was all basically general aviation questions. So
things you wouldn't expect for
things you would not expect, because there was some stuff that I was really good on with general aviation. There was some stuff that I was horrible on, and there were questions on there about approach patterns on the drone test that, or and what do the markings mean on a commercial airway or a runway, that I'm like, yeah, I didn't really think about that. But they pulled a lot from the general aviation test on the drone thing at that point.
That's why taking one of those 107 classes would be really, really important. I don't see somebody going in and just, passing the test, just thinking, well, it can't be that hard. Those classes are probably going to be extremely helpful in passing that.
That's interesting right here, what Joseph's saying. Got a call about cleaning and sanitizing artificial turf. High school starting to use turf, mandated to clean and sanitize it. Seems like a legit flow of business, but not many, if any, schools in my area that use turf. Wow. All right, critical thinkers out there, this is what you need to research and say, is this true? Do you have to do this? And who in your area has turf?
Yeah.
Because that could literally be a $100,000 bam comment right there.
If it's something that's being required, because that's kind of like where you go with hood cleaning, right? Hood cleaning is required. Obviously, it's not as much as I think you could end up getting off of something like turf, but hood cleaning is something that's required. So they have to get it done in order to stay in business. So therefore it makes it a good business opportunity going down that path if you want to chase those dogs, if you would.
Absolutely. But that could be one of those things with just absolutely dumb money, available at it that for some of this, oh man, the silliness that's out there. Hold on. I gotta share this. Steven just threw down the gauntlet here, and hold on. How do I present? Share screen.
And choose.
All right. So share. Look at a little house of mirrors here. Are y'all? Can y'all see? Can you see this, Doug?
No, not really. I mean, you can kind of see. It'd be better if you just shared that one window.
All right, here. Let me.
And then I'm on a laptop, and I'm sure some people are on their phones. Really not going to be able to see it.
And see, I don't want to go and remove that. How about now? Does that show up now? Big?
No, not really.
Nah.
I mean, I see that it's a golf course.
Yeah.
Or a mini golf thing.
No, it's a putting green, and then that's literally saw. So that was we killed it right here. I don't know if you can tell, but then. I can't. I just can't. I'm not set up on two screens tonight. But yeah, I have actually washed. I have washed putting greens before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we've done some putting greens. One of them it was mostly dog poop. Guy had a mini golf set up in his backyard, and most of it's just where his dog went to the bathroom.
Yeah, that is absolutely a nuts. Close the port tab. Oh, so you got the Mavic too? Also, I've just got the Mavic Pro. So,
I think I have the Mavic too.
Joshua Harper got to go. Oh, he got to go to the. So very nice. I am so happy, Joshua.
That's the entire point of business, I think.
Well, Joshua just had a. He also Joshua is a true entrepreneur. They have a snow cone business down in Perry, Florida, and he has a soft washing business. However, he also had a full-time job at the Perry lumber mill too. And bad things just happened from that company that owned them. So, and I won't talk about that online, but of no, a sign of our economy to come. And part of that, I was reading the write-up on it, and is the slowing demand for lumber, slowing demand for timber and things like that. And guys, you tell me where that's going to go. You tell me what's happening in housing. If you've got enough slowdown in the economy to where lumber mills are shutting down, tell me where this economy is going.
Yeah, exactly.
So Rich, y'all understand, Rich is a pilot as well, not just a drone pilot. Rich is a real pilot. Good information here. Get caught uploading a drone video, you could catch a fine before you think about it. Real planes can't see you until it's too late. 100%. If they see you at all, because you're talking about something that's basketball sized or diameter.
Well, you mean you're talking about like the FAA seeing you?
Well, they're saying if the FAA sees you out there on one, they can see a video, but two, also, like you're flying your drone 3 miles away, a real plane can't see you. I mean, if you go up there at if you're sharing the same airspace as a real plane, and you literally got something that big, a real plane is going to have really hard time seeing your.
They're never going to. Yeah, it's going to be a. Yeah, I don't know what the height, the ceiling is on a drone, but I'm sure it can't be that high.
That's interesting that Joe's talking about that, because that's something that's getting very popular is artificial turf. Seeing a company advertising a product to protect artificial turf from the hot sun. I guess it's laying out flat or melting it. Yep. Chris just closed a turf job for the spring. Need it clean. Dog park.
Awesome.
We are going to get a snow cone machine at the Power Wash store. Absolutely. The president says it's a great economy. Exactly.
Yeah. Mr. Sniffs a lot.
Mm.
Good thing we don't ever really get too political here because, oh man, there's so much roasting that could easily be done.
You know, what's incredible, and so yes, the FAA people have to scour YouTube and search for violation. 400-foot above ground level is the max, but it's lower when you get into other classes of airspace. Yeah.
That's actually lower than I thought it would be.
Jim Bob, you have a good night tonight. I hope you were safe out there and don't slip and slide.
Good chatting with you again today, Jim Bob.
Now we have to bring the snow cone truck.
Bring it.
So what Brandon living on? Yeah, good question, Mike. Absolutely. Who knows?
I think that depends on the day of the week. And then the morning, and then whether or not he's had his meds and you know, all that kind of
true.
stuff.
I mean, scary things are happening in the economy, and I think that's also what's going to impact our residential pressure washing a lot.
Yeah, it all is.
And if you look, oh, Rich, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Good to see you. Good to talk. If a plane hitting my drone. That's funny. Sorry.
I guess it would depend on the size of the drone and the size of the
plane. And the size of the plane, and where it hits. But sales of classified make great economic model. I want to talk about this for 1 second. And this is something that we have seen a lot this year. There's been a lot of discussions, at least in the better forums that we're a part of, such as Spray Wash Academy, where we've had little sidebar discussions, and they're going, wow, have you seen all the rigs at pressure washing equipment buy, sell, and pressure washing equipment for sale and things like that. And we've actually seen a lot more equipment for sale this year from October, November, December than what you like. Usually we're used to seeing stuff get up sold or for sale in January and February. And the
starting earlier this year.
Smart money always says, chill out, don't buy anything until, and I've bought a lot of rigs in January and February because of fire sales. We've seen it starting this year back in November. And I don't want to get too deep into a philosophical comment, but I'll share this, with our audience, because Doug, you and I've talked about this before. If the problem with this is where it's so important right now, and maybe you're wanting to talk about next week we talked about this a couple weeks ago, girding your loins. I still remember talking about that, but this is where it's time to freaking sack up, take care of your existing customers. Here's what's going to happen.
Pay extra special attention to them.
I promise you, here's what's going to happen in this economy, and with as flooded as our market has gotten. What's going to happen is guys will go, crap, how low can I go? Shit. I'm not going to make my $500 an hour like the guy on YouTube told me I could.
If I can just make 50.
Or if I can just make 100.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to, if I can just make 100, I'll be okay. Shit, they're not buying at 100. If I can do 75, I'll be okay. Yeah. God, I hate to do this. If I can get $50 an hour, I'll be okay on that. And you will start seeing price and it becomes a race to the bottom, It does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, we've had this discussion before where you're always going to have bottom feeders. You're always going to have the middle of the road, and you're always going to have the high ends. I mean, I do see, the way the economy is going. And that's why we said before, I think last week, that the really amazed to hear that a lot of the residential stuff dried up, but the commercial stuff really picked up. So,
well,
Sorry to keep you on it. I've
and it's funny,
been doing
and you
some roofing, and it's got me worn out.
the and some you do see a lot of ridiculously high prices for news for stuff on classifieds, but then you see a lot of ridiculously low prices for stuff on the
Yep.
classifieds too. And a lot of the people that are posting really um and Steven, whenever y'all want to do it, y'all know I got a spot for it. I'll make the coffee and have the donuts and we'll do it.
There you go.
And you know what? Even Matt Burke said he'd bring a guitar up here and play on a Friday afternoon. If y'all ever want to do a fish fry or something like that, I can probably get Tim to bring Pompano. So we can think about that. I'd love to do it. Serious guys in Tallahassee.
Sounds like a good time.
But where was I at, Doug, on there before?
Before you were so rudely interrupted by Steven?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Jim's got a great point. Just raise house wash prices 17% on each package.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly, you have to. My God, your prices have gone up over the past year. Hold on. Let me get on it. Let me step up on a soapbox here, okay? I was thinking about this
You
earlier.
got off of it?
Huh?
You got off of it?
Yeah, I know. Hold on. Think about this though. So we've been told that inflation is running at, let's say, 8% a year. And I know, the last numbers were down at oh no, they're down to 7.5%.
But
Okay.
Did you see what they were saying? Well, I'll wait till you finish, then I'll say this.
Hold on. I just want to go somewhere. Eggs, organic eggs are now $8 because I went into Publix the other day to get something, and I remember people talking about because there's all these memes about eggs and the prices of eggs out there, and I've got my own chickens. I've got 9 chickens. I probably shouldn't tell you a bunch of reprobates that, or you'll steal my chickens. But I've got. I'm sorry, I said 8, 9 great laying hens. I don't understand what egg prices are, but the last time I bought eggs, I don't know, every now and then whenever the girls go off, they start molting and stuff. I mean, I think I paid about $2.99 a dozen. And the regular eggs were like $4.50, $5 a dozen. And the organic eggs, which is what my family wants to eat now because they're used to organic eggs, were $8 a dozen. $8 a dozen. Eggs, y'all understand that not too long ago, eggs used to be like $1.79 a dozen. Like within recent history, within recent freaking history. 3 years ago, that's not 7% a year. I can sell you a great Pressure Pro machine for what, $4,000 or so. Doug? Help me out with the math here. What's 7% of 35? Hold on, I'll do it. I got it right here.
Good thing because I didn't bring my phone here.
7. So 245. So a Pressure Pro machine now is around $4,000. 7% inflation would be $245. No, they've gone up like $500. That's not 7%. Any of this bullshit 7%, sorry, I shouldn't say bullshit. Any of this 7% inflation you're hearing is crap because I've not seen anything that's only gone up 7 or 8%. Stuff, tips and things tips that used to do that were $1.85 for a brass tip are now $3.50. That's 100% inflation. I mean,
but here's the deal with what I've been hearing about the whole inflation is down and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't mean that inflation that the prices are down. It means that the rate of inflation is decreasing. It's still rising, but it's before it was rising like this, and now
Right.
it's rising like this.
But,
So
they
they're
say
saying that it's
annual. They
decreasing,
say
but it's not.
annualized inflation. That's crap, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're right. It is.
it's we're being literally lied to. I mean,
Right.
about every
100% misled, and yeah, to me, that's that. We're just being lied to, flat out.
100%. I mean, because
Everything is
my
still up.
cost.
Inflation's still up. It's just that.
Okay, hold on. Hey, we talked earlier. Chlorine, the chlorine. I had an employee that used to call it chlorine for a long time, but the
What about the
chlorine.
guy that was new to the industry that was trying to be a big shot and he kept calling it sodium hyperchlorite?
Hyperchlorite. Oh, sodium hyper. Oh God, I remember that guy. The sodium hyperchlorite.
He was a big pro, but he didn't
Yep.
even know it was sodium hypochlorite, not hyperchlorite.
But think about that. Okay, so if it was 7%, whenever I was paying $1.25 2 years ago, hold on, 1.25, and I was going through 800 gallons a week times 0.0. I'm going to go 8%. Hold on, 1.25 times 1.08. That would have put my cost up the initial year at 135. Then times 1.08, that would have put me up there in 2 years at 145. I was at 125 bulk rate. Now, after 2 years of 8% inflation, I should be at 145, 146. Let's round up.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, fuck it. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's round down. 145. I'm at $3 a gallon. $3 a gallon now.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how
and
that's
it's not
8%.
just bleach. It's everything.
Tell me how that's 8% though.
Yeah.
Right, here's one. 425 from 120 a gallon. Okay. That's not 8%. That is okay. So 100% would be 280.
Mm-hmm.
That's 200%, roughly. Yeah, 200%.
Oh, give them the benefit of the doubt and call it 200% flat.
Yeah, I mean, if we said 200% of 240, it would be 480. But do you really?
100% would be 480.
Or really, is that not 400%? I don't know. I mean, you can kind of split numbers a lot of different ways there, but that's the bullcrap. If you really believe inflation is only 7%, you're a moron.
282%.
Yeah, 200. Oh, there you go. Jim just did it. 282%. Thank you.
Crazy.
I'm not good at math because
it's probably the whiskey.
Yes.
And I'm not good at math anymore because I've been conditioned to have the phone instead of using my brain like we should
True.
be.
No, literally, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy.
Bottom line is it's higher than 7 or 8%. That's a fact.
Well, Doug, I had no idea we were going to talk about inflation and drones and all this amazing stuff tonight and the price of SH. But
there you go.
But it's crazy. And you're right, Jim, you're 100% right. And Casey, you're 100% right. It's higher than 7 to 8%. It is. And we're and if you believe it, I'm sorry, because we've gone up much more than 7 to 8%.
Yeah, not much help for you if you do believe it.
Yeah, there really isn't. There really and truly isn't. You know, and I mean, guys will tell you that who come into the store here. I would literally pull up my price list, you know, from Wisconsin and show manufacturer's price and what I'm paying for stuff. And I mean, we try to make a fair markup, obviously. I mean, I want to stay in business for my guys here, but I'm more than happy to show guys, hey, here's what I'm paying for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, you know.
It's not the great profit margin.
It's not this massive yeah. Oh yeah. You didn't see me squat, Bubba. Yeah, so Kamala came to Tallahassee to deliver her 50th anniversary Roe v. Wade speech because, of course, Governor DeSantis is here in Tallahassee. I understand there was like a crowd of 1,500 people, which is hilarious because if Governor DeSantis called a press conference, I think he'd have more people than that following him.
By far.
Mm-hmm. Steven knows I'm probably a little right of Hitler as far as my politics are concerned. Yeah. No life or God. Ain't that the truth? We all need some more God in our lives. End user gets the bill. That's the truth. That is so true. You know, I had an interesting conversation with Bobby Walker the other day. You know, and Bobby was a minister in his previous life. One of the most prescient people I've ever spoken to in my life. And I never realized this, but he said there's a certain amount of people out there that believe in a Calvinist theory that we're actually past the rapture. And what we're dealing with now is that 1,000 years of tribulation. That's a kind of an interesting theory.
Yeah, that is.
Oh man, what ways to get more commercial? Get out and see more commercial people. I mean,
yeah, there are 1,000 ways to get commercial jobs. But I mean, I like the way Pat Clark puts it, you know, in the Goya thing, because to me, the way to get, first of all, consistency, time and business all mean something, right? Having the proper insurances. We just had the discussion. Geez, who did I have that with here recently about getting commercial jobs and getting commercial work, and you know the things that you need to have in place, you know, because they're going to ask for them. And there's one that no, I can't discuss it because I don't want to embarrass somebody. But you've got to have, if you really want commercial work, you need to go and do things correctly. Can you get commercial jobs without doing things correctly? Sure, but you're not going to get the commercial jobs that you want or that pay. You know, they're willing to pay more if you have all of your ducks in a row, if you've got the workers' comp and you've got all the things that, you know, we're tired of hearing about. You need to have them if you really want good commercial jobs. And then half the times after that, there's not even any going to bid anymore. You don't. They just call you up and say, here, go do this, you know? So some of that I'm going to say really is just, it's time. And you have to spend the time in the industry, and you have to do things correctly, and you have to have all of your ducks in a row and dress accordingly. You know, all the right things are going to help land those jobs. You can do all the marketing in the world, but if you show up in a, you know, tank top and Crocs, you're going to have a harder time getting the job.
All right. So you know, I've told you before, I'm writing a book, right? Mm-hmm. You just pulled this up. I just pulled this up because I had written it I wrote it yesterday, actually. And this is from the residential versus commercial chapter. And I said, most of us start out, and I apologize for the typos I'm going to read because I do a lot of texting to talk to myself. When you go to the big box store or order your pressure washer from Amazon, you're going to be well equipped to handle many residential houses. However, you're not going to be equipped to handle most large commercial jobs. Case in point. Thinking about 2003, we were asked to bid on a local parking garage that subsequently became very good friends with the city real estate manager during that whole bid process. At that time in our career, it was one of our largest projects and highest price tickets we would have ever bid on. However, we received a devastating blow that someone came in much lower than our bid. The city real estate manager really wanted us to have this job and repeatedly asked us, is there any way we could lower our quote? and match his competitor's price, since it was over the minimum that his project could authorize without getting multiple bids. Now, keep in mind, this was about a 500,000 square foot underground parking facility, the largest at that time in our city. When we asked how much we needed to come down, he let us know that the bid was less than 25% of what we had bid, and we were around around $35,000. The winning bid was around $7,000. We thanked the manager for the opportunity to compete, but told him there was absolutely no way we could work at that rate. And honestly, it sounded like there must have been some miscommunication somewhere along the way, because frankly, nobody in their right mind with a good understanding of this type of job would bid that low. Keep in mind, that was a government contract, and there was actually a third bid in there as well. That was higher than ours. Well, sure enough, the first night of the project, the winning contractor showed up there to start washing this garage. He was only able to get a few hundred square feet done because the equipment he had was literally a 2.8 gallon a minute pressure washer, 50 foot of garden hose, and 50 foot of pressure hose. He did not own a surface cleaner, but he did have a turbo nozzle, as evidenced by the funny patterns that he made in the concrete. Sometime around midnight, the property manager went out to see him and fired him on the spot. He realized at the current rate this washer was going, it would literally take him months before this project was completed. The property manager called us bright and early the next morning and let us know the situation had changed and the city was going with our bid. I mean, if you're going to do,
and that goes along. I've told the story before about the HOA complexes that we did where, I didn't even know at the time. We went out, we gave the bid, and then the next thing I know, we get a call back to, let's go ahead and do it. And they had already awarded it to the lowest contractor. Yep. There were 7 bids. He was the lowest. They hired him. We were the highest. Okay. They hired him. He went in, literally red tipped the wood siding and was cutting it. And they fired him on the spot, and then they jumped over all the other bids to us. Boom. That was it.
I mean, I'll never forget that kicked us off with the city, and we wound up getting a maintenance contract with the city of Tallahassee. And there's an old saying out there. God, we're so over time, but don't. I got to be careful here because I don't want YouTube to black us out whenever we put this out there. But the old saying is don't screw or fight, and screw isn't the word I'm thinking about. They both have the same first letter. Don't screw or fight outside of your weight class. I would also say don't pressure wash outside of your weight class. Mm-hmm. I mean, understand what you're capable of, but don't go. And I go on in that, and I stopped reading it. But I go in to talk about, you're right. I'll never say that person. It was Waterworks. Waterworks was, no, stop. No. But, that person never wound up getting asked to bid on a city property again in their life. I mean, and he destroyed a relationship because he was not capable of doing that. And we're going back to what Mike asked, how do we get more government stuff? Be appealing to governments. Do what you say you can do. Also talk to the right person.
Mm-hmm. Having the right equipment.
Quality is never measured by time. That's true.
We are over time, right?
Oh, that's funny. Oh, Steven, come in and see me. I'll give you the name. He's retired now. Oh, that's as real as it can get. Mike, you know what? If anybody doesn't know Mike is an absolutely amazing pressure washer in the St. Augustine, Jacksonville, Palatka area. but he's also a deco rep too. And if you need deco, Mike is the man you call, especially if you're in that area. He is the man that will.
I don't call it a capability statement, but yes.
Yeah, 100%. Do I use a capability statement? As far as a statement of what we are capable of, no. But what we would typically do on a lot of government bids and large commercial bids is we would list out an equipment listing of equipment we would bring to bear on this job. And we would say, yes, we are going to bring
showing that we are capable of that job.
4 8-gallon a minute pressure washers with reclaims on 2 separate trailers. And we would have, X amount of personnel on this job at one point. So, yes. Casey, I can't tell. Oh, God, know your worth. Woo! I can't. I mean, that's. Know your worth, 100%. There was a bank that was bid around Tallahassee at one point. Well, a little south of Tallahassee. And I remember Casey and Casey, you weren't the only one. And the guy that won the thing was like, he did the whole job for like $1,200, and part of the job, the drive-through was worth $1,200. Whatever. We need to discuss that later. Deco is the tits. I've used many of the sealers, and Deco Silicast is the best out of 5 to 6 sealers ever tried. There you go.
So what happened to the original topic tonight? We never stay on topic, right?
Original topic. There you go. That was it.
Actually, when I got in and I saw that, because I'm sorry for running late again today, but it said night fireside chat. I thought you were going to be out by the fire.
Thought about it. Thought about burning this whole sumbitch down and starting over, but just part of my frustration. Sorry.
Remember, the insurance company doesn't like it when we talk about those things before we do them.
Yeah, I don't.
You're ruining our plan.
Literally, Casey's right. 40,000 square foot, not including the flat work that was done for $1,200.
Yep.
On a bank, and this isn't like a little community bank. This is a very large bank headquarters. That bank headquarters is probably 30,000 itself, and then the branch, the drive-through over there is probably like a 7, I don't know, maybe 10,000 square foot building, plus all the flat work. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I think it was one of the first times Casey and I had really sat there and rapped, and it was the kind of thing that he was like, well, where'd you be at that? I was thinking, yeah, back in my heyday, 35 to 4,500. And he's like, yeah, that's kind of where we'd be too. What's Tommy saying? What's the bachelor show because I'm hanging out with you? Oh, that's funny. All right, we're out of here on that, guys. Oh, come on. I've taught them better than that.
That's it.
That hurts. That hurts. That hurts deep down. The cockles of my heart, Stephen. That's not even the cockles. That's like the sub cockles. That hurts. Hold on. Have us go my business grade 18,000. Now I got to upgrade since 3 to 4. What do you recommend? Are you making sure that you have your address on there? I actually had a customer of mine, a very good, well, he actually isn't even that good of a customer. I really like him. Doesn't buy shit from me, but I really like him. Buys some little stuff here and there. And we sat there and said, You know who I am if you're talking about you. You know who you are. And we said, what the heck is wrong with this? Because he was ranked like number 3 or 4. And we sat there and said, let's figure this out. Why did you drop from 3 to 4 to not even on the map? So you know that Google My Business totally changed and went with the map. The problem now is with the maps, if you don't have your address listed, you're gone. You're done. You are trash with them.
100%.
You've got to list your address or an address. And if you're one of these absolutely freak crazy, I don't want my address listed. I don't want customers to know where I live in case they come to me with pitchforks and, fire. Then you need to go to a UPS store and get an address there. But you've got to have an address listed with them. Otherwise, Google My Business, and again, Google My Business is now tied into Google Maps. You're dog meat with them.
Yep.
Shit, spray wash. It's all fun and games until your daddy takes the T-bird away. Yep. So yeah, Mike, where I'm going on that is get in there and change it around, and get in there and make sure your maps are updated. Make sure your price is up, your address is updated. Get into Google Maps and do that, because they have gotten real wonky.
Sticklers of it.
You like the throwback shirt? I've been wearing my spray wash. I stopped wearing them for like a year, and I realized this is part of my identity. I cannot help. I was spray wash. Spray wash is who I am. Spray wash is what you realize how many freaking firsts that we were the first guys that really, I think, ever do this kind of like what we started doing here, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
I know lots of guys get out there and selling their classes and all that good stuff. But you and I used to sit here 3-5 years ago and talk about industry happenings and
Yep.
bull crap. Whenever
we made a lot of stuff happen.
Whenever that thing imploded, you and I started coming on and doing little live chats together, and I'm pretty freaking proud of what we've done, honestly. Yeah. We've created an amazing group of people, and it's not like it's some massive YouTube revenue. We got 3,500 people listen to our shit, but we've helped a lot of guys, and we've done a lot of good stuff here. And it's kind of cool.
It is.
And again, I mean, we started this. I mean, there's other things that we started that just, oh my God, it was hilarious. So, whenever I go and you know what, we need to end it now.
I'll say this. I just told my wife today, Ricky, who's in our market, posted some pictures and he was using Tyvek. And I said, it does me so good to see the industry using something I brought to the industry, in such a massive scale. It just makes you feel good about, what you did for the industry kind of thing. But yeah, we do need to end it, Ray.
All right. We done. Bye, y'all. Thank y'all. We appreciate you.